Welcome to Deep in the Valley, a Missouri Valley basketball podcast. I'm Dr. Chris Bowser, joined as always by Brian Dutler, and this is your home for everything happening across the valley, from Cedar Falls to Des Moines, Nashville to Normal, and Carbondale to Chicago. We talk the schools and the coaches, former players, and the stories that make the Missouri Valley Conference one of the most historic and well-respected athletic leagues in all of college sports. So wherever you are across the valley, you're in the right place. Let's get deep into the valley. On this week's episode, we're joined by the new head men's basketball coach of the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, Kyle Crean. From growing up in Minneapolis to playing at Hamline University, coaching internationally in Denmark, to building a coaching career that has now spanned more than 3 decades across nearly every level of college basketball. Coach Crean's journey has been built on player development, defensive toughness, relationships, and culture. Panther fans know Coach Crean well. He spent 16 seasons on the bench in Cedar Falls under Greg McDermott and Ben Jacobson, helping lead some of the most successful teams in program history, including multiple Missouri Valley Conference championships and the unforgettable 2010 Sweet 16 run. Most recently, Coach Crean has spent 5 seasons on Iowa State staff under TJ Otzelberger, helping build one of the nation's premier defensive programs before officially returning home to Cedar Falls as the 26th head coach in UNI basketball history. Coach Crean, we're obviously very excited to have you with us. Welcome to Deep in the Valley.
It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I think that I don't know how to feel about that intro. If I should feel old, excited to be home, all of the above. And I don't know why we don't just make this a Panther-centric podcast to begin with. I don't know that we need to involve everybody in the Valley. I'm good with just doing this, us 3 every week.
I think that would make Dutler and I happy. I don't know if it would make everybody happy.
That's right.
We are going to kick it right off today. We're really happy that you're here. Our goal tonight is, Brian, from a professionalism standpoint, his goal is to not say we. So everyone that's at home, we could make it a drinking game. Every time you say we, you take a shot. But anyway, I'll let Coach Dutler here dive in.
Yes, with the Minneapolis roots and your basketball journey, every story has a beginning, right? And let's talk a little bit about growing up in Minneapolis and eventually playing for basketball at Hamline. And how did those early basketball experiences shape you as a player and eventually into the coach that you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I grew up like everybody playing a lot of sports and played basketball, played football, played baseball, played a lot of golf, tennis, you name it. We tried it all. Growing up in Minnesota, I actually played hockey up through 7th grade. Had to do those things. And then just loved all team sports and enjoyed the things that I got out of being on a team more than anything. And basketball just happened to be the one thing that I excelled at through high school. And I knew when I went to college, I wanted to continue to play. And my ability level was D3. That's what I was. I was a D3 player. And that's the great thing about it is you can find a place to fit in if you have a passion for something. And that's where I fit in. And it was the best decision I ever made in that. I met my college coach, obviously there, who was a Don Meyer guy who got me into coaching that way. And I met some other guys. There's a guy that's assistant coach at the University of Minnesota named Dave Thorson. Thor was 4 years older than me and got me into coaching camps and working at camps. And just that opened up the path. It wasn't really the plan when I went to college. I went to Hamline in part to play basketball, obviously, but to also go to law school. They had a law school there. And you could go 3 years of undergrad and 3 years of law school. And I took 1 law class and realized that's not for me. It's not like it is on TV. You don't just get to talk for a living. You actually got to do research and be smart enough to figure some things out. So I went right from there, just evolved into basketball and wanted to be a teacher. And the thing that I loved to teach was basketball. So that's how it ended up that route and got me into coaching. It was just fortunate. It's funny how things just fall into place. And it was meant to be for me to be at Hamline, and then from there not to be able to be a lawyer and to then be a guy that got connected to the right people. And here we are today. I've been fortunate just to be blessed to be around a lot of great people.
So, Coach,
including you two.
What was that?
I said, including you two. It's funny how this all works out, right?
So you've coached at many different levels and programs throughout your career. Hamline, Southwest Minnesota State, Augie, Western Colorado, Marquette, Lewis, Wisconsin, Eau Claire, and then UNI and Iowa State. Looking back now, how can you maybe put the importance on all of those different stops in shaping your approach as a coach today?
Yeah, I wouldn't trade any of that. I like I said, I was a D3 player, so I had to come up coaching at that level. I didn't have a connection to a Division I program. And when you coach at that level, you get a chance to do everything. So my first coaching jobs as an assistant coach or My first one was after playing overseas was the JV coach in Hamline. You do it all, from sweeping the floors to popping the popcorn, and you great appreciation for all the things that you get when you go forward in life, like the way we travel now, and the clothes that we get, and the gear that we get, and the shoes that we get, and the guys I get to work with, and the strength coaches. And the higher you go up, the more specialized it becomes because there's just so many more people involved. So my path was great because I got to do everything early on, including coach. And as I said earlier, I got in touch with some great people. I worked for a guy named Perry Ford at Southwest State in Augustana, who really was my mentor early on and showed me the ropes as to what recruiting looks like and how important relationships are. And then while I was coaching there, that's when I met Mac and Ben. They were at Wayne State in North Dakota and North Dakota State, developed those relationships. So that's what then eventually led me to UNI, right? And because of those relationships and a chance to work with those guys. But again, when I came here to UNI, it was back in the days when there was 2 assistant coaches and a restricted earnings coach. Who I came here with a wife and a child and one on the way for 10 grand, just for the opportunity, right? But didn't think anything of it because of the way I came up as a small college guy. Just thought this is the coolest thing ever to be a part of a Division I program. And so it wasn't always a grand plan. It just, like I said, I had my eyes open and followed the path that was in front of me. And luckily, it led me to some great people like Mac and Jake and UNI, who has allowed me to leave 4 times and come back. How often does that happen? Yeah. So it's been pretty cool. Pretty cool ride.
One thing that kind of stood out when you're kind of looking at this and knowing a little bit on your background is this: you got that early coaching experience while you were also playing. And time overseas in Denmark as a player coach. And it's not exactly the traditional way people get into the business. Talk a little bit about that experience and what you learned coaching professionally at such a young age.
Yeah, it was interesting. I would think the 2 greatest player coaches of all time are Bill Russell and myself. I think that's fair to say. It's funny. It was more like I wanted to keep playing. And in order to keep playing, I had to coach the team over there, right? That's the level it was in Denmark at the time. And it happened. I was literally working a basketball camp, Clem Haskins basketball camp, with a guy named Kurt Keitzer. Kurt was playing over in Denmark. He was a few years older than me, had played in our conference. And we're playing, after camp one day, we're playing pickup. We get done playing pickup, and he says, "What are you going to do next year?" I said, "I want to coach, or I'd love to keep playing. I'm not sure." He goes, "I'm not going back to Denmark. They need a coach and a player. You want to do it?" And a week later, I was on a plane going to Denmark. And so I was just thrown right into it without thinking about it. And I got there and realized I got to coach this team at the same time. So I just relied a lot on what my college coach had done and those experiences. And the guys I coached were great. It was a fairly low level. Half the guys were students, half worked part-time, some played back. It was like a combination of a lot of things. But what it allows you to do is just experiment with a lot of different things, find out what works, what doesn't work, get your own voice. I could tell the guys to run sprints, and I didn't have to. I could sub myself in and out. That was always nice. Didn't come out much. But it was a great experience. And I knew from that point that I wanted to coach. Okay, this has got me hooked. And I got to get the player bug out and knew that when I came back, I wanted to get into coaching. Truthfully, would have probably stayed over there longer, but my now wife, then girlfriend, was like, "You know what? We got to make some decisions here. What do you want to do?" And I made the right one coming back. But it was kind of the hook that got me for sure into coaching. I thought I knew I wanted to do it, but it got me that hook and that opportunity and chance right away to have your own team, which doesn't happen very often. And it was kind of, at the time I didn't realize it, but it was really a cool opportunity and a cool step in this whole process.
You've worked alongside a lot of really good basketball minds throughout your career, and we're going to throw them in there. Greg McDermott, Ben Jacobson, Tom Crean, TJ Otzelberger. Some of the lessons maybe that you've taken from those experiences and those relationships over the years.
Yeah. Start with Mac is that relationship piece, right? He was great at developing relationships, not only within the program and the players, but outside the program. And it's funny now that we're in the world we're in with NIL, and that a large part of what I do is also fundraising. Is a lot of that I just go back to how Mac did it, and he did it organically, and he just did it because that's who he is. I got to watch that firsthand, be a part of it, see how he developed relationships, how he maintained relationships. That piece I've really carried over, right? With Jake, it's like the organization and his ability to, his unwavering confidence and belief in what he was doing and how it's going to work, and having a plan, and then just kind of staying with that plan no matter what. The ups and downs, the wins and losses, Jake's there, he's showing up, he's doing the work, he's doing a great job. He's consistent with all of that. So being able to draw from those things. And then with TJ, it's like that single-minded determination, that toughness, a lot of how I've always wanted to play, married that with how he saw the game at the same time, the toughness, the competitiveness, the defensive-minded, the how you do anything is how you do everything, the daily, all those little things. He lived it every day too. To see somebody do that for 5 years consistently over time, and then see it work, it even solidifies more your belief in something. Yeah. So, so fortunate with those three guys to helps me now be where I am, because I've also left and been a head coach a few different times. So now I get to take these other things and put them together. And I truly believe this was the right time for me to be here and be the head coach because of all those experiences I've had in the past, that I can draw all those, put them together. TJ being the last one to help me kind of steward this program forward.
Yeah. We talked to Coach Henderson at Drake last week, and he was at South Dakota State with TJ. Yeah. And he said, when we were at South Dakota State, we were leading the nation in offense, and all of a sudden, Coach Ott has morphed into a defensive specialist. Did you witness any of that? Maybe is he still in the back of his mind? Is he an offensive guy, but now he's got this defensive persona to live up to?
I think this is truthfully, I think he is a defensive-minded guy by nature. When he was at South Dakota State, he inherited like a 6'9" offensive leading scorer in the nation, dynamo at that level. And he's smart enough to know, okay, this is our path to winning, right? Just like when we got to Iowa State and we inherited a team that had won 2 games and it was right coming out of COVID. How are we going to navigate this? We didn't have the offensive talent, so we got to figure out a way to win. That's the underlying thing. And I think his natural inclination is tough, competitive, hard-nosed, blue-collar, kind of how he grew up in Milwaukee. So I think that fits the kind of defensive mindset we had. I think he really enjoyed both. I think he enjoyed scoring 85 points a game and then not having to worry about it, grinding something out 55-50. If he had his brothers, it might be that way. But I think in his heart, this is kind of who he is and how he likes to play.
Yeah, so the fortunate to have you on because you're back at UNI.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what makes UNI a little bit special. Like you said, you've been back 3, 4, 5 different times now, and every single time it seems like to me it gets a little bit better every single time. So, one thing that stood out initially after your hire is how emotional and genuine your comments are regarding the institution, regarding UNI, and how it is a home for your family. Right? And for people outside the Valley who may not fully understand UNI basketball culture, what makes this place so special to you?
The people. Anytime you're around the people here in the Cedar Valley and over the years, how much they've given to me. I've talked a lot about how it's now our time to give more back to the place that's given a lot to us. My kids went to school here in high school. They went to college here. My wife's got a business here. Although I grew up in Minnesota, I grew up in Minneapolis, and I will forever be a Vikings fan and a Twins fan. This place has our heart and is now what we call home. So how often do you get to go back home to those kind of things and those people that, and I know when I've left, the main reason I've been able to come back has not been me. It's been my family, my kids first. They wanted them back in the youth programs, and then my wife back with her business. I've just got to tag along and be along for the ride. And now I'm fortunate to kind of, again, be the one that helps continue this rocket ship going in the right direction. But to see where it's gone from, that gets you emotional too, just to see where it's gone from when we got here, when we're literally counting the fans. You guys were around then, playing in the dome, the water leaking on us and getting drilled many nights as we kind of figured this thing out, to where it is now, seeing the McLeod built, what that's been like, the crowds as they started to grow in the dome and then carry over into the McLeod and winning championships, going to Sweet. We never thought we'd be in Sweet 16. So you think about those things. I say that, but I think Jake in particular believed that. That's one of the reasons we made it. Like, I'm not sure I had that belief, but he certainly did. And then as a result, we did it. So it's been, I'm still living that down with my college buddies, the emotional part. To this day, I'm a laughing stock amongst my crew, but that's all right, man. I'm glad to be back home.
Absolutely. You don't ever have to apologize to us for that kind of stuff. Yeah. Absolutely not. So as you just mentioned, you were part of some really great moments in UNI basketball history as an assistant coach, championships, NCAA tournament teams, and the Sweet 16. Now you're sitting in the head coach's chair, maybe a seat down the bench. What was that moment like emotionally when you realized you're leading the program yourself? This is now, the keys are in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened so fast, right? Jake left on a Monday. I was in my office in Ames Monday morning. I heard about it. I went, that can't be. And then I was in front of the team talking to them Wednesday morning. That's when it hit me. I got into the locker room where I had been so many times, and I'd sat in the film room and watched Jake or Mac address the team. And then I was the one addressing the team. It hit me then for the first time. And then it hit me, obviously, at the press conference and being out there. And I think somebody had asked what it was like to be able to coach under the banner where your son's retired, and that hit me again. I hadn't even thought of that. So those moments were pretty surreal. And I'm sure the first time we take the court, and instead of being the one that has to sit there the whole time, I get to actually stand up if I want to say something to the refs and not get in trouble for it. It'll probably hit me again. Hey, wait a mintle. Or when we need to call timeout, I might look around to see who's supposed to call a timeout and then realize, oh, that's me. I better hurry up and call timeout. So it's the whole thing's been a trip, but it's been pretty cool.
Yeah. You mentioned your family just a little bit, but I'm going to shift this more to the basketball family aspect side. And one of the things with Mac, and continued by Jake, and I have no doubt that you'll continue, it's with the Panthers of the Past program and the alumni support and things along those lines. So guys like Bows and I, that we still feel 30 years down from when we were in school, that we're still a part of this. And that's important, and it's pretty special. But the construction, your coaching staff has a strong UNI tie to it. Yeah. And you talk about the importance of, obviously, the quality gentlemen to be helping us out in the program. There's the first us in the program, right?
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, exactly. So those familiar Panther ties into the program and on that staff, what that means to you, maybe to the program. And then maybe talk just a little bit about Tuttle staying on to be on your staff as well.
Yeah, no question. It's one of the most enjoyable things since I got the job was just reconnecting with a lot of the guys from the early 2000s up to today and being a part of all those teams and trying to, keep them engaged because they've been engaged. Mac did a great job of engaging the guys he had played with and gone to school with, and Coach Miller and all those people, and trying to keep all those people involved. And the guys that we coached here with Mac, with Jake, the guys that Jake coached, all that was important to me. And then to be able to find 3 guys that played here that I recruited, that I coached with, and to keep them involved as well, because I know they have the same passion for this place that I do, and they're all great teachers of the game. And it was pretty cool. And to see their excitement every day in the office, being around it, that connection. And then in recruiting, to be quite honest, we saw it a lot, guys. It's like these 3 guys have walked the path you want to walk. They all played here. They all graduated from here. They all went to the NCAA tournament here. They advanced in the NCAA tournament here. They went on to play professionally here. Those are all important key elements. I mean, they have great pride in it. And then certainly Seth is one of those. Seth's the only All-American we've ever had here. Arguably one of the best players ever play here. And to be able to keep him around, his connections to the community, his knowledge of the game, his love of this place it's equal to, if not more than mine, just because of his connection as a player. We're very fortunate to keep him. And that part was big. I was glad that his wife and he decided this was the place they wanted to raise their kids and be a part of this place. And I understand why, because I was the same way. So couldn't be more excited to have him back on board and kind of along for the ride, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. Coach, one thing Valley insiders have noticed so far is how active you and your staff have been in rebuilding the roster. Can you talk to us a little bit about your approach to roster rebuilding and retention in the modern college basketball era?
Yeah, we've had to dive, obviously, into the portal head first, right? When we got the job. Got the job a little bit later in the cycle than most. It was really fortunate that Megan, our AD, and the president acted quickly when they did. That less than a week, we were actually on board and recruiting and getting going. We had to dive in the portal more this year than we probably would like to, just because of what you said. We have been and always will be a high school-driven program. I believe in player development. That'll be a big key for us. We'll recruit Iowa and Dakotas and Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois, the surrounding states, Missouri. That'll be our core, starting in Iowa. And then trying to retain those guys. Always retention first. Then supplement the portal when we need to. And that is just the reality of where we're at. And this year we had to do more than ever. We signed 1 high school kid and had to jump in the portal and get 6 guys that we're really excited about because they had lost 6 seniors last year. And they lost Leon Bond going down to Iowa State, which would be a great fit, and he'll do a great job there. And Will, who had done a great job here, is going with Coach Jake to Utah State, which is exciting. So we had to replace that. And I'm excited to get those guys here in June. I'm excited about them, but I really truthfully felt I don't know. I've never coached them. I haven't been around them. I had them on campus. I've Zoomed with them. I've gotten to know their families, but Don't know, man. And it's just so weird. I just came back from the conference meetings, and it's like all the coaches are like, "How you going to be?" I don't know. When they ask them, "How you going to be?" I don't know. We got 8 new guys. It's just so unique, the world we're in right now with our teams, and I cannot wait to get in here June 15th and start that building, the connection, the team, the culture piece that I think is so important.
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about it. You've got an interesting mix of returners. You've got the 6 returners. You go out, you hit that portal for another 6 or 7, and depending on what's able to be reported, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's kind of going on there. But you got a couple Cedar Falls kids coming in as well, and kind of keeping that local tie is important. But what excites you the most about this group as you begin building year 1?
Yeah, that in some ways it's kind of nice that there are so many new guys, because when you're a head coach taking over a program that has culture like they have here, and you come in and you've got a bunch of guys back there looking at you like, we don't want you here. We're happy with what we had. Now it's a whole new crew, and they know about UNI, but they don't know about the UNI I know about, and that Seth knows about, and that Clint knows about, and that Mark knows about. So getting to educate them on what that's all about, and getting them together here, and getting them exposed to what the Cedar Valley is, and what UNI means, and what it means to be an athlete here. Now, that part will be fun. And then us as a group getting to grow together and figure this out, and how we going to be, who we going to be. That part, I can't. There's often a time this time of year where you're like, I need a break, because it's like I've just been with the guys for so long, and I'm the opposite, man. I can't. June 15th, couldn't get here soon enough for us and our staff.
Yeah.
Coach, for fans watching us this season, there's my first one. When on a UNI game,
Bring to that one too.
what do you want them to see? What style of basketball do you want to find UNI under Kyle Green?
I would hope that they leave the gym seeing a really tough and competitive team. I've told the guys many times, I wanted the other team to go, that was the hardest playing team we played against all year. And a lot of coaches say that. We're going to try to live that every day. And I don't know how many games we'll win. I just want us to know we're going to be the hardest playing, most competitive, toughest, physical team there is. And that you were a fight. And that the fans leave the McLeod Center feeling that same way. Wow, I respect how hard that team played and how well they played. The way they carried themselves, the way they acted, the way they interacted with each other, the enthusiasm that they had for the game and their teammates. That stuff is the most important stuff to me. I think that when you have that, you guys know this, then the wins take care of themselves. So that's the part we'll focus on more than anything. Certainly we have a plan for how we want to play offensively and defensively. Some of that will be dictated by the guys we have. At this level nowadays, you have to have flexibility. You have to be flexible in how you want to play, just because of the portal and the transfers and in and out. And so you can have a vision, but until we get them here June 15th and get a chance to be with them for 8 weeks, we'll know better then come the fall exactly what it's going to look like. But they'll be tough, they'll compete, and they'll have some fun, and we'll have fun watching them play and being a part of it.
So one of the things that Bows and I like to talk to the coaches about is a little bit about, does the team reflect who the coach is? And does the style of basketball that you see on the floor that you just described, does that reflect a lot of what you have in your personality? Or you find something that works in one area, you move it over here, and you keep an open mind, but does it truly reflect your personality? And what are some of the pillars of your personality that you hope shine through in your teams and your culture?
Yeah, it's a good one, because that's grown over years. Like I said, how I coach has evolved every time I've been a head coach in different places and who I've worked with. And certainly taken a lot from the last 5 years. I hope you see a group that's really selfless and really competitive. It's 2 things that I know I am, and the things we'll talk a lot about are competitiveness and our selflessness. Right? This isn't about us. I'm not the head coach here because of anything I really did. I'm riding on the shoulders of many. And our guys will, I think, hopefully have that same feeling and mentality, because I truly believe that, and I know that. I haven't always felt that way, but now I know that's really grown into that kind of belief and thought. And then the competitive piece, man, we're going to be really competitive. There's a lot of pride in this place. And so wake up every morning with the idea that I can't let these people down. They've deserved this. They've earned it. It's cold here in the winter. We need to have something to be excited about. I feel a little bit of an obligation to make sure that happens. So hopefully you see those same things out of our team. And those are some of the same qualities that we try to embody as a family.
Follow up to that is, you've got guys like Brian Dutler, Chris Bowser, and a bunch of other people, the Dan Corbins and Peyton Betterdings of the world. And we're all in a group chat together. And every there's an ESPN Plus game on a Wednesday night or a Saturday night, we're texting each other. we're following along, and it's so much fun to think about that we started this journey with UNI basketball 30 years ago, manager, and we're still talking about it twice a week at least.
Yeah.
So that you're 100
That's
years
awesome.
about how that's going to be a part of what we talk about too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we love to see those things in our team, the selflessness, and we always kind of talk about how teams are always really dangerous when people don't care who scores the basketball.
No doubt. No doubt. 100%.
We're looking forward to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're 100% on the money. And I love those group chats, man. I hope that there's one from every era or 4 or 5 from every era that's got those same sentiments. Just don't forward on the things that you don't want me to know. Please. I don't need to hear everything you guys talk about. Okay. Only when we win, I want to hear from you guys.
Oh yeah. You can screenshot the win stuff.
That's easy.
So we've actually asked several coaches this question this offseason because summer basketball feels a little bit different now than it did back then when we were in college. And now that you kind of largely know what your roster looks like, and you've already talked about you're really fired up that June 15th can't get here fast enough, what does June look like for the student athletes in Cedar Falls?
Yeah, they're rolling in. We have camp starting in 2 weeks. On that Monday, we have a youth camp. They'll be here for that, and they'll work camp that first week. And then starting the 15th is when we start practice, right? We get 8 hours now with them, and then we can do a combination of weights and on the floor and conditioning and skill work. And so it basically looks like this. We'll have a consistent daily schedule. I'm a big believer in daily habits, and doing those things repeatedly over time is how you get better. They'll start grinding in the mornings. We get up and get after it is my mentality. So we'll be in the gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 7:30 and have a team workout, and then follow that with weight workout and then team breakfast in the morning. I'm a big believer. I know the Zoom is only from the neck up, but I'm a big believer, obviously, in eating. I think a lot is accomplished around meals, and teams bond over meals. So we'll try to do that twice a day. We'll eat breakfast as a team, and then we'll come back in the afternoon and do skill sessions, or they'll play open gym. That'll happen between like 2:30, 3:30, and 4. And then we'll eat again as a team. And then they'll have some time to hang out. Like part of the summer is also, we'll do some things like they love to play golf. They go fishing. We'll play kickball. We'll play sand volleyball. We'll do some things like that to start to develop some of the chemistry on that team, playing bags, having them over to the house. Just any of those things we can do over those 8 weeks we get. We get June and July with them to help develop that chemistry. We'll spend as much time as we can together and also have a lot of fun at the same time. Because again, when you're having fun doing something, you're going to put a lot more into it, and you're going to get more invested you are. The harder it is to quit when it gets tough.
So go look ahead into the season. Excitement about the Valley. I know you just said that you just came back from St. Louis and the meetings, but just about everyone, you said no one knows how good the bad, the good, the bad, the ugly, so to speak. Whether it's 4 guys or whether it's 8, 9 guys, everybody's got some sort of fluctuation with the rosters and the depth of the league. Really noticed the last year or two, the depth in the Valley has really increased just across the board. But what excites you most about coaching in this league now as a head coach after spending so many years as an assistant?
Yeah, you know what? It's been a coach's league in a lot of ways for a long time with some really good coaches, really good X and O's and game planning and strategy, and being a part of that back and in this role is looking forward to that, the challenge of that. It's such a balanced league. You go down to St. Louis every year, and obviously we did it as UNI as the 6th seed this year. It can happen from anywhere, and it's not that often that the 1 seed wins the championship because of the competitive nature and how good all these teams are. There's so much balance, right? There's so much commitment. It's a basketball league. So these programs throughout Iowa, obviously, and Illinois, and the new programs we added in Murray and Belmont, they're basketball schools that are committed to success in basketball. There's an investment there from the administration. And so that's really fun to be a part of. The coaching part is coaching. I've coached D3 and D2 and D1 and high major and mid-major, and that's practices are practices. The players are players. They all want to win. They all want to compete. But the opportunity to be in a situation like this where people are committed to your success and it's important to people, I'm looking forward to that part. It's going to be quite a challenge, but it's going to be a lot of fun at the same time.
Are there any non-conference matchups that you want to let any of the fans know about that you can let them know about today?
There's one that's a really big game. They're announcing it, the opponent, and they've asked that we not announce it. They'll announce it with their schedule release. I think it's going to be announced this week coming up.
Okay.
What I'll say is it's a team that we have played in the past, and beaten in the past. It was a fairly big win. They think it's their time for revenge, but we hopefully have something else in mind. We'll leave that out there, see if people can figure out who that is.
We're not professionals, but I believe in the business they call that a teaser.
Yes,
So
there you go.
we'll come back and find out later in the week.
Otherwise, I'll be honest, fellas, we don't have. That's going to be job number one for them about the next 3-4 weeks is getting this schedule put together. We have return games at Furman and Oakland that I inherited, and then we've got this game I'm talking about. We're scheduled to play in what they call an MTE, the Grand Cayman Islands. Whether or not that happens, we're still in the process of figuring that out. We have a lot to do as far as putting our schedule together. We really do.
Who's putting it together, Coach? Is that something that you do, or
yeah, I do.
I
do. One of my assistants, Abe Woldeslassie, myself, and Brian Pearson, who's our director of basketball operations. Us three kind of working hand in hand, trying to create that, and really relying a lot on some of the relationships to schedule some of those bigger games.
Yeah.
Try to get some home games here. We want to play, and Jake did the same thing. He played a super competitive schedule. He played pretty much anybody, anywhere. We want to have a great balance of home games, trying to get 6 or 7 at home every year of our 12 non-conference games, at least half at home, if not more. So we're diving into that. It was a large part of the discussion down at the Valley Coaches meeting the last couple of days, but we're diving into that. And so I think next week, it could even be later this week, but we're going to have a pretty fun announcement for a game in December.
I'll tell you what, as somebody who now lives in Springfield, Missouri, we would love it if there could be a future home and home with the School of the Missouri State Bears.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We're actually in discussions. That would be great too, because we'd love to have regional opponents as well, and some of those old Valley opponents. The Wichita, they played them last few years. That was great. Creighton, Wichita, Missouri State. Some of those familiar foes that people get excited if we can get them back here in the McLeod Center.
Don't leave out Tulsa either. That's only a drive for me.
Yep. We'll do anything just for you, Bowser. You just tell me who you want to play.
For Bowser all of a sudden.
And then we'll work on that. I don't ever know. I won't even care. We'll just play them on the road so you don't have to travel. We'll play them all there.
That'd be fantastic. I'll travel.
Maybe with Brewery. Play a 91 on the road. We'll do all those things.
There you go. It's probably fitting right into everybody's perception of me is that I want everything done for me, which I don't think is true. So, hey, the Valley's got some really incredible environments that you play in. One of those is the McLeod Center. And can you talk about talk about it a little bit, that maybe the first time you walk out of the tunnel as the head coach, that it might hit you emotionally, but talk about what you feel like it's going to be like to play in front of the Panther faithful in the McLeod Center as the head coach.
Yeah, I was there for obviously the first game when it opened up, and it is still one of the best venues that there is. The way that it was constructed as a basketball venue, fans are right on top of you. You kind of come in up top and walk down into it, and it's got that bowl, which makes it loud. It's a fun place to play. And then the thing that'll probably hit me is as much as just the memories of all the games I've coached there, and then the games my kids have played in it. That's the part that gets me emotional sometimes, is knowing how many games my daughter Emerson played in there, and the wins and losses she had, and then my son, obviously. And it goes back to when they were in high school. They both played games there to qualify for state tournaments and do those things. So just so many of my family's highs, right, experiences and lows have taken place right there, including my kids being ball boys and ball girls and those kind of cool experiences. I'll try not to think too much about it before we play that first game, but it'll be I have a tendency to get a little emotional. So I'm sure I'll be looking up at the crowd, not trying to think about it, focusing on the team, yelling at the refs, doing something else just to distract me.
Yeah. So expectations for year one, you talked about it just briefly, but as you begin this next chapter, what are some of the foundational things you want to establish during year one of your era at UNI?
Yeah, just what we talked about, like the selflessness, the competitiveness, the daily habits, the investment, like of our players in each other, the chemistry with which they play, the enthusiasm with which they play, the toughness with which they play. All those things are what we're going to work hard to establish starting June 15th, and the things we'll talk about all the time. We don't really talk about the score. I'm not a big set this goal. We're going to win the conference championship. We're going to do this. I just believe all those things take care of themselves when you operate every day the right way and make good decisions. We stack enough days where we're making the right decisions over and over again. The results will kind of take care of themselves, and you can learn to live with those things, whether you win or you lose. So I don't know. It's not like we have a team with a bunch of guys returning and there's expectations. We got a bunch of guys that have never been together. We got to figure it out, and that'll be the challenge. And sooner we figure that out and get on the same page, the more of those wins and losses will take care of themselves.
All right. So we always like to end all of our episodes. We've got a couple of quick hitter and maybe some fun questions. And so,
Yeah.
Favorite arena in the Valley besides the McLeod Center?
Okay. Favorite arena in the Valley besides the McLeod Center is something we talk about all the time when we're on the road, right? Because everybody has a little different flavor for what they like and the kind of environment. We have some civic centers, which I'm not a big fan of, like Bradley and Terre Haute, Indiana State. I'm not a big fan of those. Probably in Illinois State, if I had to say, probably Illinois State would be I think that's a pretty cool environment. It's a basketball arena as well. That one, I have not been to Murray yet. I have not been to Belmont, but I would have to go with Illinois State.
All right.
And toughest player you've ever had to prepare for in the Valley?
Ooh, that's a great question. There's been some good ones over the years. There was a guy named Shai Eli, way back, played for Evansville, right?
Yep.
And he led the nation in scoring. And he led our conference in scoring. I don't know the nation, but he was like 25 plus a game, right?
Yep.
And we were playing them to win the conference championship. This was when Mac was there. And they were near the bottom of the league, right? But they ran everything through him, and he could score. And they would run different actions to get him the ball. It was my scout, right? And I think they had 4 wins, and we only had 3 losses. I don't think it was Mac or Jake. I can't. It might have been 2009. We couldn't stop him. And I had prepared for days to get ready for this game. He had 24 in the first half. And they just looked at me over and over again. Okay, what are we going to do? What's the counter? How are we going to stop this? And we threw everything but the kitchen sink at him. And we went from up 20 to tied with 2 minutes to go. He's scoring every day. We're running 2 guys at him. He's still shooting the ball. He's catching it at the elbow. That, for whatever reason, sticks in my mind as one of the single greatest performances against us when he was at Evansville. Right? So it was interesting. He was really hard to guard. This is an individual. This is a random name that you probably hadn't heard of. He was an all-conference player, but he was good. I'm trying to think who else would stick out. There have been so many. Jake LaRavia was a tough matchup. He was good.
Yeah.
Southern had some guys. That would, thinking back, that would be a fun game just to sit back and look through all the different box scores from the different years and all the different teams we played against. As I get older, I'm having a harder and harder time remembering all those games. And every time somebody brings it up, I'm like, oh, that's right. But that's one that really sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a box score now, Coach. February 27th, 2009, Shai Eli had 6.
Yes. He had them all in the second half. I almost promise you he had them all in the second half. We were ahead by 22. And so it was 2009. Yeah, that's what I thought. And it was late in the year, right?
Yep.
And what was their record? What was our record going into the game?
Oh, boy. Let me see. Let me click on game preview.
And it would have been Adam Cook. Yeah, that was 2009. And it would have been Adam
Jordan,
Cook that was.
Eggleseder had 20. Joe had 17. Travis Brown, 9. Ali only had 6. Cook only 7. Johnny Moran, 7.
Yeah.
Lucas O'Rear, 3.
Yeah. And Shai Eli, 26, because we couldn't stop him, and he got almost all in the second half. And we had Adam Cook, who was the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
And I thought, he'll be able to guard him. That didn't work. And then we put Kajo on him. That didn't work. I almost had to resort to Lucas just taking him out, right? That might have worked, but we
always
didn't
an
go
option.
that far. Yeah.
Always an option. Especially with his bowling.
Yes. His cast.
Is always
a good point.
So, hey, while we're talking about, we just mentioned Kajoa Heligba on his way to the NBA Finals.
How awesome is that, huh?
So cool.
So excited for him. He's really paid his dues over the years and worked his way up as a coach and with the Timberwolves and the Knicks and hung through a couple different staffs. And I'm excited for him and his family to get to experience this. And not a Knicks fan by nature, but I will be a Knicks fan here for the hopefully 4 games that they win and take home a championship.
Absolutely. In the spirit of toughest player you've had to prepare for, who's maybe the best defender that you've ever coached? Somebody that you've coached, maybe the best.
There'll be a few of them. Adam Cook is up there because of Adam's versatility. He could guard pretty much anybody on the floor at 6'9". He had a certain and a toughness about him, but that length and athleticism. He was really the first standout defensive player that we had. So he would be one for sure that over the years sticks out in my mind as just a tough, competitive, all-around defensive player. He was for sure. I've been fortunate to, we've really had a lot of really good defensive teams and had a team philosophy with how we defended here over the years. He might have been the only guy that, and it's funny because that year, I don't think he won Defensive Player of the Year. I think Joe won it. I said to him earlier, but I think Joe actually won it. And as coaches, we know our best defensive player was Adam, but we're not the one that always vote on it. I think Joe probably led the league in steals. As a result, he got the award. But if you were going to shut somebody down, we were going to put Adam on him first. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. So one thing Panther fans would be surprised to know about you.
Probably that I ran a marathon when I was younger, right? They would look at me now and say, that's not possible. Way back, a long time ago. So that was one of my accomplishments that nobody would know. Hey, what? I didn't say I ran it well, but I did run it and made it all the way through. I ran it with my wife. So we ran the first one together. I have not run around the block since, and she's probably run 14 marathons. So it stuck with her. It did not stick with me.
A lot of coaches don't spend a lot of time watching movies, but do you have a favorite basketball movie?
Oh, man, there's some good ones now. And I'm a movie fan. I grew up old school movies. Hoosiers is the easiest one. The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh is a good one. Fast Break. My favorite basketball, anything would probably be The White Shadow. It wasn't a movie. It was a TV show. But I did not miss an episode of The White Shadow. And so I would say any of those older 80s movies that revolved around basketball, I watched them all multiple times.
That's awesome.
This one I'm gonna change just a little bit. So one of the things that Bows and I ask is always is if we're gonna head to whatever city we're going to and catch that team's game, where is a place that we should be going to? Where are you gonna send us for a pregame meal, and what should we get, or what's your go-to order? Well, I gotta change this up a little bit for you because we've probably been to a lot of the same spots in the Cedar Valley. So name a place that is kind of not necessarily well known, but is a good spot to go to, and what do you get at that spot?
Okay, so this is a Big 12 one, right? And it's a bit of a chain. I didn't realize it was a chain the first time I went. I thought this was unique. It's great, but it's just somewhat common down south. Torchy's Tacos. Okay. And we played at Texas, and we had played at Baylor. We had an off day, and then we played Texas. And on the off day, Coach TJ and I went for a walk, and we ended up at this place. He goes, this place is great. And it was the original one in Austin. So that's why I thought it was like, oh, I've never heard of Torchy's Tacos. And there's a secret menu. So you have to go up there and ask for the secret menu, and they'll give it to you. It's just a little menu. And you can get them trashy. You can get them all kinds of different ways. So that became a tradition, Torchy's Tacos. And then I found out they're in multiple cities down south that we played in. So you don't let me give a chain in those kind of situations, but being that we're up north here and don't get down south, they don't have them up here, that became my go-to for about 4 years. And that became a few more of these pounds that I'm trying to get rid of with Torchy's Tacos. And I always get it trashy, which means you get everything on it.
So you're back in Cedar Falls. That's going to be tough to try to lose weight with Peppers and the OP right next door.
Yes. The OP is my favorite pizza.
Yep.
If you like cheese, you love the OP.
Yep.
There's a couple new spots. Downtown Cedar Falls it's got a big time food scene. There's about 5 or 6 different restaurants. You could go someplace different every night. And then Peppers as well. Peppers is a staple where we would go watch my daughter's games the last few years. And then the game would get over and we'd go down there and watch the end of the Bucks games and could catch those. And the chicken fingers to this day are some of the best I've ever had.
I was back in Waterloo, Cedar Falls this weekend with my wife, and we actually ate at George's Local.
That's one of them.
It was our first time there. For us, branch away from Peppers and the OP is really out of the order.
Yeah.
George's Local, I had buffalo mac and cheese, and it was phenomenal.
Yes. George's Local, you can sit outside. I highly recommend it. Whiskey Road right next door is a go-to. Now the OP is downtown too, and you can sit outside at the just talking about it right now, I may have to hop out, get off the Zoom, and my wife and I might be heading downtown.
Do you have a go-to pizza at the OP?
I'm one of those guys that wants everything on the pizza.
Yep.
So I just go with as many possible toppings. You can put anything on that thing and I'll eat it. So
this household here is 4-star only.
Yeah, we're
really
also 4-star people. Jamie doesn't like green peppers, so we jokingly say it's the 3-star. So we're
3-star.
4-star without green peppers, which is a 3-star.
It's a good choice. It's hard to go wrong there. It's hard to go wrong.
So growing up in the Green household with 2 future D1 athletes, if you guys are going to play horse in the backyard, who's going to win that horse matchup between the 2 Green kids and mom and dad?
Well, mom and dad are going to win any kind of competition that we have. Horse, as long as we're shooting inside the 3-point line, 15 feet and in, I still have a chance. You start to stretch it out a little bit, and AJ might have a bit of an advantage. But if we're playing a game of 2-on-2, Michelle and I can talk them, the trash talking that'll go on. The competitiveness comes out. My wife is by far the most competitive person in our family. So she will say whatever she needs to say to make her kids feel bad so that she comes out on top at the end of the day. And we do that whenever we're all together. We always end up with some kind of an Olympics or triathlons or different events and throughout the whole weekend. And right now, currently, the only one that I can win in is anything that involves food. So wing eating contest, pizza slices, you name it. But I'm working hard to get back to where I can compete in anything other than free throw shooting and eating.
That's awesome.
All right. Coach Crean, thank you so much for joining us. This was fantastic. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on Deep in the Valley. Before we let you go, any final thoughts for Panther fans around the country?
No, first of all, thank you guys. This is great. Just to represent the Valley like this, spread the word about the Valley. I jokingly said, let's just make this a UNI thing, but it is important that this league, it's a great league. It's the 9th best league in the country last year, and not enough people necessarily know about it. And there's such great history and tradition here. I'm honored to be a part of the league, to be a part of UNI, to be a part of that history and tradition. And I feel a great responsibility to make sure we're keeping this thing going in the right direction. But anytime I can help you guys or hop back on the show, and don't hesitate to ask. This has been a lot of fun.
All right, Coach, so much. We'd love to have you again, and we're going to try to take the tour of all the Valley coaches. Coach Henderson was gracious enough to join us last week. You've joined us this week. So this is really what we're looking to do and help you guys promote your program and the league overall. But thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast.
Absolutely. Anytime, fellas. Any way I can help, let me know.
You bet.
We'll do.
That is another episode of Deep in the Valley. We appreciate you, the fans, for spending a part of your week and talking Missouri Valley Conference basketball. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and follow along as we cover everything happening across the Valley all year long. From Cedar Falls to Des Moines, Nashville to Normal, Carbondale to Chicago, we'll be here every week to tell the stories that make the Valley special. For Brian Dutler, I'm Chris Bowser. We'll see you next time, Deep in the Valley.